How are you, Billy?
I'm good, Salty. It's every team's got their storyline, don't they? Can you make the finals? Who's pushing for top four? We've got the minor premiership clash this weekend with the Storm and the Panthers. So they've all got their storyline, and there's only 4 weeks to go to see where they end up.
Well, let's talk about one of those teams. And we were there at Cogra on Saturday night. The Bulldogs, impressive again, and they are knocking on the door of the top four and looking very good.
Well, they're 2 points out of the top four. So if one of those teams in the Sharks or the Roosters slip up, well, the Bulldogs are right on their heels. And it's more the way they're playing. We called that game at Cogra. It was a great atmosphere. The red and white and then the blue and white. It was such an iconic ground, and one of those suburban grounds, when it's full, the hill is just roaring. And the Bulldogs are just playing a style of football where it's a collective. It's not an individual game. They're playing as a team, and they're doing a lot right. Without the football, they're working really hard. Their line speed. Cameron Ciraldo has obviously taken that template of what the Panthers have worked on over the last 4 years in terms of their line speed getting up, their edges getting up nice and high, and they consistently do it. So they're hard to score against, which is why they're up with the Panthers as the best team in the competition in terms of the defensive side of the game. And then with the football, they've got this smaller middle forward pack that have got a lot of energy. They rely on their edge back rowers to create momentum, and their outside backs make themselves hard to tackle. They're a footy team, and they're doing it consistently week after week after week now. So they're building that confidence to go and do it in these big games at the end of the year.
You made mention of that forward pack, and it stems to some of these unheralded players that are coming off the bench as well. There's a guy we've seen the last couple of weeks now, Harry Hayes, who's been playing some good football. Curtis Morin, I know he's been in the NRL now for a couple of seasons, but he's playing well. So these guys, they're all contributing.
Where'd they come from? Harry Hayes. I haven't heard of Harry Hayes for ages. Only the last couple of weeks he's popped up, and I watched him closely. He's doing an amazing job. Morin, Kurt Mann. Obviously Kurt Mann's been around the NRL for a while. I actually played in Kurt Mann's debut game down in Melbourne and been at a few clubs, and he's playing out of his skin. Distributing the ball really well, off a nice wide pass from Reid Marnie, and just bringing the likes of Kikau and Burton's running game into the fray. So, they're, like I said, everyone's doing their job. It's a collective. Everyone's contributing to the team's performance, and they're not just relying on any one superstar to get the job done, because, to be honest, and with all due respect, they don't have that one superstar that just stands out and wins the game for them. It's a collective across the board.
Yeah, well, they're going very well. The Dragons now much improved this year under Shane Flanagan, but could be in for a tough end of the season. Not wanting to preempt anything that may happen at the judiciary, but Kyle Flanagan, their 5'8", could be missing for the rest of the year up in that biting charge on Stephen Crichton. But the Dragons still in there and fighting for a spot in the top 8.
Yeah, just on the Dragons footy to start with, it's just so inconsistent. For the last 7 weeks, they've gone win, loss, win, loss. That trend has continued over 2 months now, and if you're going to do anything in the finals, well, the Dragons are going to have to do it for 4 weeks in a row, because they're not going to make the top 4. So if they're going to be in the finals, it's going to be the bottom half of the 8, and you're going to have to do it 4 weeks in a row. And they're not building that confidence to do it 4 weeks in a row. They can't even do it 2 weeks in a row. So off that big win down in Melbourne a couple of weeks ago, they just couldn't back that up, and the Bulldogs were just too strong for them, and they put too much pressure on them, and they couldn't handle it.
A side on the weekend that kept their finals chances alive, and it looked like they were going to cruise to victory. I speak of the Dolphins in their win over the Warriors, and then they had to do it the hard way, a Sean O'Sullivan field goal in Golden Point. Not a bad way to kick your first field goal in the NRL, by the way. It was Sean O'Sullivan winning it in Golden Point, but they got the job done, and they're still there, the Dolphins.
Yeah, it was a beauty, wasn't it? It wasn't even a 1 point field goal. It was a 2 point field goal outside the 40. So just the confidence too. A lot of the the pressure in the golden point is to create field position and not give a 7-tackle set away. But the confidence to step up and have a shot, that was the courageous side of Sean O'Sullivan's decision and choice to go after it. They're a little bit like the Bulldogs to me. They're hard to beat. The Dolphins are hard to beat, and be great to see the Dolphins play finals this year. They've had a few of those games turn the other way where they've just missed it. Over in Perth, they had a game there against the Roosters where just got away from them, and there's been a few right on the edge where they could have won and they haven't, but they're still in the top 8. They're sitting in 8th position, but they're going to be fighting hard the next month. Yeah,
they sure will be. By the way, the news this week, Ewan Aiken will be heading to the Rabbitohs next year. He's been good for them, hasn't he? The ex-Warrior, the ex-Dragon in Ewan Aiken. He's played well in the back row the last couple of seasons.
He has, and he's put in a whole heap of effort. And, that inaugural side of the Dolphins has been built off effort, hard work, and he's been a big part of that. So obviously going to the Rabbitohs alongside Wayne Bennett, and Wayne obviously sees a lot in his performances and what he brings to a footy team and a footy club. So he's obviously heading down there.
Now, Billy, last week you said the Broncos season isn't over. They're mathematically still a chance, and well, they got the job done against the Cowboys. We'll talk about North Queensland in just a moment. And you go through the draw and you see a lot of teams around that 6th to 10th, 11th, 12th on the ladder are going to take points off each other over the course of the next few weeks. Brisbane pick up 2 free points this week with their last bye of the year. How impressed were you with them in their win in Townsville on Saturday evening?
Well, I wasn't impressed for the first half an hour. I thought the Cowboys were the better team. I thought they were just going to go on with it. I was actually surprised at the Broncos, how they come back into the game, and impressed at the same time. They ended up winning convincingly. But it's not over until it's over, is it, Salty? And, they've got a run home. They've got the bye this week. Then they go Parramatta, Dolphins, and the Melbourne Storm. So they have to win all 3 of those games. They'll freshen up this week. They've still got a few injuries, Ezra Mam and Payne Haas. It's going to be hard for the Broncos, but they're still sitting there alive, and it's not over until it's over. And they're going to fight, and if they can win those 3 games, they'll create some momentum, and there's a big chance they'll find themselves in the finals.
Katoni Staggs, his form, I think even in the last month or two, has been terrific, but he almost took it upon himself on Saturday night to get his side back in the contest. What a great player he is, but a terrific competitor.
He's a real strike player too, and starting to come to the age where he's a leader in that footy team. Maybe the pressure's just off a little bit as well. After their last loss, everyone was saying the Broncos, their finals are done, their year's done. The pressure may have just came off a little bit, and they can just go after their footy. They're a dangerous footy team. You have a look at some of the strike in their team. They're really dangerous. They've still got Reece Walsh. They've still got Adam Reynolds, who that's the creativity of the football team. They can really go after their game now, and everyone still thinks that the Broncos can't make the finals. Well, there is that little glimmer of hope for them, and they're a dangerous footy team. And like I said, they've got Parramatta, the Dolphins, and what a clash that is on a Thursday night in the last round of the season against the Melbourne Storm. That'll be a beauty.
Yeah, sure will. North Queensland, Billy, they've leaked now plenty of points in the last couple of weeks. Todd Payten, would he be concerned at that?
Yes, without doubt. Without doubt. I don't know how many times you hear a lot of experienced people talk about defence wins premierships, and I attest to that. Defence wins premierships. Coming from an attacking person, defence wins premierships. And that's what they got right when they had that successful season a couple of years ago. They were hardened. They were hard to score against, and they really focused on their defence, and they valued their defence. And that will be an area of focus for the next month. I'm sure it's a little bit of a concern, but it'll be more of a focus, because when you're in a club environment and you're a month away from the finals and you've put yourself in a position to play finals, you're looking forward and what you can actually work on, rather than being concerned and worried about things. So I'm sure Todd Payton and his coaching staff and all these players up there will be focusing on where they can improve, and the defensive side of the game is where the Cowboys need to focus on. And they can do it. They've done it before, and they're a dangerous footy team, and they put themselves in a position to fight.
It's interesting, isn't it, Billy, with a player, such an experienced player like, say, Valentine Holmes, and I'm only bringing this up just purely because in the last couple of weeks we heard the news that he's been free to negotiate with other clubs, or free to leave if he can find an offer elsewhere. And we're just surmising here and throwing things out there, but as far as not so much the effect on Val, because he's a professional, he'll continue to go out there and do his job, but he's a popular player, and it probably highlights just how difficult it is for clubs, because they've got to do this, what the term, list management, and make decisions during the season and the like, and it can probably affect, I suppose, I'll ask you the question, can it affect teammates around saying, hang on, he's a popular teammate, he's one of our best players, and yet he's going to be moving on. Can it have an effect?
It can. I don't think it will, because I think the players now more than ever, they understand the situation. They understand the salary cap and how it operates. They all go through negotiations, so they know where it all sits. And it's well publicised that Valentine Holmes came back to the Cowboys to play fullback. He signed a really big contract, and when that doesn't eventuate, there's a management sort of sitting behind there going, well, we need to free up some space. They signed their two captains earlier on in the year, in Tom Dearden and Reuben Cotter on long-term contracts, and they're probably looking to the future a little bit and working out. And the other thing is, it's got to work for Valentine Holmes as well. He's got a contract for next year, I think. Is it next year? Yeah. So if he gets an opportunity somewhere else that he can extend his career and set his family up for the back end of his footy career, well, that might work for him as well. So it's not just all the club saying, we don't want you, you can look elsewhere. We don't want to pay that sort of money next year. It's got to work for the player as well. And I'm sure Valentine's manager will be talking to other clubs and working out longer term deals. And if it's attractive enough for him, well, that's when he'll accept it. Otherwise, he'll be at the Cowboys next year and everything will just run as smooth as it's been running. So it's not like one party can just say, you're out, that's it. It's got to be a mutual agreement, and it's got to work for everyone. And the players understand that. I don't think it'll derail anything. Chad Townsend's moving on at the end of the year as well. So it's just the moving parts of being an NRL player.
Yeah, exactly. And then also part of an NRL club with the club having to make these decisions, because if you wait till the end of the season, then the horse is bolted, so to speak.
Yeah, and it might work out really well for Val. Very rarely these days does a high quality representative player come off contract and be available. So it's a player's market out there, and clubs are looking for quality players. You look at the Tigers, you look at the teams down the bottom, Parramatta, they're all looking for quality players, and Valentine Holmes is one of them. So to sit on the open market right now is a positive thing for the player. There's another couple of teams coming in the competition in a few years' time as well. So the distribution of players is going to be higher in another couple of years.
Absolutely. We'll talk about one of those teams very soon. Now, another game we were both at over the weekend was at CommBank Stadium on Friday night, where Parramatta led by 14, and then Penrith cut it to 8, the lead to 8, and then Clint Gutherson scored, and I think we all thought that, okay, that's it. The Eels are going to go on the win, but the Panthers, they did it again, Billy.
Did it remind you of something?
Yeah, it sure did.
Unfortunately for Broncos fans, it reminded me of the grand final last year. And 28-14 with 18 minutes to go. Parramatta was sitting in a good position, and it was again Nathan Cleary. He didn't go out there and do anything brilliant. He just increased his involvements and increased his chances with the football, and he did it again, and his team did it again. What a wonderful confidence that can give you when you have that ability to do that. They'll learn from that, I'm sure, and they won't want to put themselves in that position. They don't put themselves in that position very often, the Panthers. No. But when they have, they've had the ability to get out of it. And like I said, it's not through overplaying your hand. It's not through doing miraculous chip and chases or wild passes and fluking your way to victory. Nathan Cleary just increases his time with the football and brings his teammates into the game. I thought Dane Laurie was outstanding, who scored or set up that last try for Isaac Tungle. And they're a really hard football team to beat. When they've got that ability to do that when they're down or when you're up against them, and then they can suffocate you from the start as well. And they can get out to a little lead and they can just suffocate you and build that pressure on you like no other team. So they've got a few different ways to do it.
They've got a few players to come back into the team as well. They'll be without Liam Martin for the game against Melbourne. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. James Fisher-Harris will be back soon. And Dylan Edwards will be back.
I think he's a chance. Is he a chance?
Outside chance for
teams
this week.
Will be named this afternoon, but he's an outside chance to play this weekend against the Melbourne Storm. So I'm sure we'll get onto that game a little bit later.
Yeah, we absolutely will. Simple question to ask. I don't know if it's a easy one to answer. The Sharks, are they back as a premiership threat?
Well, the Sharks are in a really good position on the ladder. They're sitting third or fourth at the moment, on equal points with the Roosters. So they're in the top four. That's a really positive position to be in at this time of the year. The other thing you need two things, I think. You need ladder position, which is a great advantage, and then you need to be playing your best football at the right time of the year. I don't think anyone has played their best football for 10 weeks or 9 weeks, which is what to go in the competition. So to sustain, this is where you need to start your run now. 4 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 weeks out from the finals. If you can start hitting your straps and building your momentum towards that final series, and you finish in the top four and you win that first game, you have a week off and then you're 80 minutes away from a grand final. That's the positive side of the Sharks. They've still yet to get their star halfback in Nico Hines back on the field. He's recovering from an ankle injury, and by all reports, he'll be back for the finals, or he might even be back for a couple of games before the finals, which would be outstanding. But to hold a team that is playing really well in the Titans, they've been playing great with the football over the last couple of months. To hold them to nil, I've always felt the Sharks need to go after their attack. They have got a brilliant attack, and attack can help your defence. And when they attack well, that sets their defence up. So if I was Craig Fitzgibbon and the Sharks, I'd be really focusing on our attack and going after our attack and getting that right, because the defensive side of the game will come off their attack.
All right. Well, yeah, they're sitting nicely. It goes to show, too, the importance, doesn't it?
Do you think they're back? Are they back, Salty?
I don't know, but it goes to show...
Oh, you've got doubts. You've got doubts over the Sharkies.
I'll tell you what, Nico Hines coming back is going to be great for them, but... the Atkinson's been terrific for them this year. Trindle as well. Yeah, they're looking good. And the other thing too, Billy, it shows the importance of banking early wins. Yeah. Isn't it? If you're trying to find form, it's easier to do it when you are sitting up there in the top four.
27 weeks. 27, that's a long season. Yeah. 27 weeks. So if you can be consistent and you can get up to the top of the ladder early, they haven't had a great couple of months, the Sharks, and they're still sitting in the top four purely because they started the season really well and they earned that opportunity to get up there.
Now, there's certain times, Billy, that you go to the football as a fan or as a commentator and you just sit up and take notice of players. This happened on Sunday when I was at Newcastle and Fletcher Sharpe. 4 tries, and the try, Kalen Ponga with that kick And then the second kick, just as it was going into touch right on half-time, the speed that he showed, mate, what an exciting young player Fletcher Sharpe is. And the Knights keep their season alive.
Well, the speed didn't slow down as he kicked the football. Like, it was a millimetre away from the sideline. And, for those who are watching, Nine's coverage on Sunday afternoon, you'll know what I'm talking about. It was a wonderful try on the stroke of half-time. 4 tries. Well, what a young player that the Knights have gotten. When Davey Armstrong, he came onto the scene at fullback when Kalen was out, and he played about 3 or 4 games, and he was brilliant. He looked really sharp. He was good with the football, used his running game, and then he got left out of the team, and I was actually wondering why. And they put Fletcher Sharpe at fullback, and they've obviously had a really high opinion of Fletcher Sharpe, and it doesn't matter what position he plays, whether it's fullback or on the wing, and I'm sure he could play in the centres. He looks a real player for the Knights, and he may just feature in a little award later on in the podcast.
Okay, all right. Well, actually, just on Fletcher Sharpe, when you go to the racetrack and the first jockey you see is you should back them. Well, Andrew Johns and I walked into, we drove into McDonald Jones Stadium, and he was the first player we saw. He didn't score the first try, but I tell you what, he scored 4 and had a cracking afternoon. He was.
How was he before walking into the stadium? Was he upbeat? Mate, is he jovial? How was he?
Jovial, smile on his face. Just like he was enjoying the occasion, heading off to the footy, which was great to see. No nerves on the youngster.
No nerves. Did he predict 4 tries?
No, didn't do that. he didn't do that. The only person that was more impressive on Sunday was the DJ, Johnny the DJ at Newcastle, which Gus wants to hire for a boat cruise. You're invited, by the way.
I did hear that, and Andrew Johns is trying to make it a 3-day event, is he?
A week-long event now.
Week long, okay. Yeah. I might only just come for the night.
That might be the safe option. All right, now it is time on the Billy Slater podcast for the Billy M Awards. Each week, Billy's best team and best player of the round. All right, Billy, your most impressive team from the most recent round of football.
Yeah, I can't go past the Sharks. 44-0 against the Titans. The Sharks haven't been playing to their standard over the last couple of months, but that they were back to their best, and with both the football and without the football. So there were some impressive teams over the weekend. I thought the Panthers were great. The Melbourne Storm were patchy against the Rabbitohs, but yeah, I just can't go past the team that puts on a whole heap of points and keeps the opposition to nil. Sharky's best team for the round.
I think we might know the answer to this one already, but most impressive player from the round?
Yeah, Fletcher Sharpe. He gets the award this week. 4 tries in his debut season, and that try, on the stroke of half-time where he kicked the ball back in, he didn't stop on the play. And the impressive thing is what I spoke about before. He didn't break stride. He kicked the ball and he kept his momentum. The ball popped up for him, but you make your own luck in this game, and that'll be one that he remembers for a long time. And I thought Nathan Cleary was outstanding in the last 20 minutes of the Panthers game, but Fletcher Sharpe, he gets the award this week.
Billy, as you were talking there about Fletcher Sharpe, he's another name that not many people knew. He came through the lower grades at the Knights, and actually with the 2 Fletchers, Fletcher Sharpe and Fletcher Myers. And Fletcher Myers took that intercept try in his second NRL game on Thursday night playing for the Rabbitohs. But it just goes to show, doesn't it? Each year, new players just keep emerging in our great game.
And they've got a few, the Knights. They've done a really good job. Young Price has come in and played in the halves at times. He looks a player of the future. Pierce Paul, he's another one. So, they're unearthing some young talent down there at the Knights, and sometimes you've got to be pretty patient with the younger players, and they'll have good games and then they'll be a little bit inconsistent, but I'm sure the coaching staff are working really hard with those young players to develop their game, and they'd be pretty happy with some of their young players down there in Newcastle. But you're right, they keep coming. The game keeps producing young talent, and we'll always see them come through.
Absolutely. All right, this is the Billy Slater Podcast for Ram Trucks, eats everything else for breakfast. Listener question time. Billy, this one is from Brett. Hi, Billy. If you were the boss of the new franchise coming into the NRL in a few years' time, who would be the first player you'd want to sign, and who would be your marquee signing?
Yeah. It's a really good question because our mind goes straight to the stars of our game. The Reece Walshes, Kalen Pongers, Nathan Clearys. And as much as they would be fantastic for a new franchise. In many ways, they're quality players. You know, they bring people to the game. It helps with your marketing. It helps with your sponsorship, and all that. That's really important. Don't get me wrong, but what the Dolphins have showed is you need to bring hard work to your organisation, and you have a look at the players that the Dolphins had signed. You know, Jesse and Kenny Bromwich, Felice Kafusi, Tom Gilbert, Ray Stone, Ewan Aitken. These sort of core players that are going to. Mark Nichols is another one that they're going to bring a work ethic to your organisation. Max Plath. So all of a sudden, you've got this environment where the majority of your players work really hard. They set the standard through your pre-season. I think that's really important. I think it's really important to set up a club to instill some characters in your club where they're all about hard work. Sure, the stars are really important, but I think the consistency to set up that foundation, that's where Wayne Bennett has really got it right, I feel.
Do you think so? So when Wayne went and saw, okay, we want those that have got the good work ethic, and you mentioned some of those names there, like your Kafusis and your Bromwiches, and they came in. Do you think when we see the Bears, and we haven't spoken about it yet, so I may as well do it now, when we see the Bears in a couple of years' time that say, and I'm just plucking names out here, this isn't from any news or anything, but you'll look at a Mitch Kenny or a Liam Martin or those sort of players coming out of perhaps the Penrith system, the hard workers from their group.
Well, that would work. Yeah, for sure. And when you get players out of successful environments, they bring those successful actions. So, there's no surprise that Wayne Bennett went after 3 experienced, successful members of the Melbourne Storm. And the Panthers that's obviously what the Bulldogs have done. You get a Stephen Crichton. The Tigers have got a Jerome Luai. So when you bring a successful player from a successful environment, they're going to bring those successful habits of everyone because they've picked them up throughout their time at that successful club. So, the Panthers, the Storm, the teams that are consistently up the top of the ladder, they're there for a reason. And if you can inject a little bit of that into your new franchise, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? And then you integrate some young, developed talent that you can bring through. Isaiah Katoa is a wonderful player. He's not your bright and shiny player, but he's very consistent for a young man, and he's got a big future in front of him. I think you need a bit of a balance of experience, youth that's coming through, and at the same time, that work ethic is ultra important.
Well, the news confirmed this week. It'll be ratified, I'm sure, in the next couple of days that the North Sydney Bears, the Bears brand, will be back in the Western Bears. But as a former North Sydney Bears great, Billy, one game?
I played one game.
One game.
It was actually a punishment, my game at North Sydney. It was a punishment for getting suspended. So Craig Bellamy put me back there. I played one game for North Devils and one game for the Bears. But there's been some wonderful players play for the Bears, hasn't there? I think of Billy Moore, Gary Larson, Danny Williams played for the Bears. I know our man James Bracey he'd be the number 1 ticket holder for sure. So it's great. It's an iconic brand of the NRL or of our game. So to see the Bears back in the competition, although it'll be over in Perth, I'm sure they might play some games at North Sydney Oval, which will be fantastic. What an iconic oval that is. But yeah, it's just another little injection of heritage. And we got that with the Dolphins. The Dolphins haven't been in the NRL, but the Dolphins are a rugby league team from a long time ago. They've been an iconic brand in Queensland Rugby League for a long time. So I like the fact that we're bringing not all these, we're bringing a bit of history back into our game. That's important.
Absolutely. You mentioned James Bracey. He takes his lunch and sits under the fig tree at North Sydney Oval every day when he's in at Channel 9 wearing his I Love Gary Larson shirt. Yeah, he is North Sydney Bears through and through. The current CEO of the QRL, Ben Eichen, as well.
Yeah, Ben Eichen. Gary...
Greg Florimo.
Greg Florimo. Yeah, there'll be some excited older players, and that's the other thing. They've already got a little bit of culture there that they can lean into, and I'm sure they will. I'm sure whoever sets up the Bears will actually bring that history back to their new franchise or to their new franchise, and I think that's really important.
All right, next one coming through from Miles as we get back to our listener question. Now, Miles says, "Hey, Billy, after seeing Corey Jensen score his first try in 7 years, it got me thinking, was there anyone at Melbourne when you were playing that had a huge try-scoring drought? Or was there any player that you all got around a bit extra if they scored?" That's from Miles. That's not Nate Miles, is it?
Nate might be Nate Miles. He didn't score many himself. There was just on Corey Jensen. What about that? 7 years.
Yeah.
And when you work so hard in the middle of the field and you don't get rewarded for 7 years, that's persistence. That's dedication to your role and what you bring to the footy team. So it was good to see Corey Jensen get over. What do they call him? Mud crab? Call him mud crab? I don't know why they call him mud crab, but anyway, we'll get to the bottom of that. Yes. There was one guy, and there was one incident, really. He scored a try, and it was in the grand final. His name's Brian Norrie. He's got a great story, actually. He played for a few clubs in Sydney. He couldn't get a contract, and then he went out to the Wagga Kangaroos, and he was the captain coach out there. And Craig Bellamy gave him a call at the start of pre-season and said, "Mate, would you like to come down for a pre-season and see how you go?" And he took him up on his offer, and I think 2 years later, or it might have been 12 months later, he was playing in a grand final, and that was in 2012 against the Bulldogs. And now he's a premiership player. But in that game, we were leading, I think it was 14-0 or 14-4 or something like that, and there was 10 minutes to go. Anyway, we put this kick up, and I've chased through, and I've knocked the ball back. It was right on the try line, knocked the ball back, and it's landed straight into Brian Norrie's hands, and he scored the try, and we have just erupted. The celebration was as big as you've ever seen because he didn't score many tries. It was a little bit like Corey Jensen, old Noz. And he celebrated like he scored this grand final try. He was about 10 metres offside.
Oh, no.
Literally 10 metres offside. He was in front of the kicker that far, but he always says no one can take that feeling of that 30 seconds when I thought I'd scored a try. And this is legit. In his house, he's got this big frame of him celebrating the try. So good on Noz. He celebrates like the best of them, and no one can take that feeling away from him.
Absolutely. That's awesome. I love that. All right, this one from Chloe. Hey, Billy, who would be your tip? Now, this is quite topical, okay, because I know that Gus has spoken about it. I think we might have touched on it a week or so ago as well. Chloe says, Billy, who would be your tip to take out the 100-metre NRL sprint if it is to go ahead?
Well, what's the final? Who's the final? You've got Josh Addo-Carr,
Jason Sharpe,
the Hammer.
The Hammer, yeah.
Tolu Kola. Who else is there? Is there any other candidates that Xavier Coates, maybe.
Yes, Xavier. Yeah, I'd put him in. He's got that great stride, doesn't he?
Look, let's go that 5. I can't really think of any other super flyers that might come into it. Xavier Savage is probably another one.
Yes.
He might be in the final.
KO Weeks might be there too. He's slippery.
Weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because those smaller, powerful runners, even Reece Walsh, they would be leading after 20, 40 metres.
Yeah.
They'll be in front and they'll look like the winners. But then you've got the efficient strides of Xavier Savage, Xavier Coates, Jason Sharpe. My money's on Sharpe. I've got my money on Sharpe. He's an effortless runner. When you look at the Olympics and the 100-metre sprint, they're running with minimal effort. They're all technique, and I just think Jason Sharpe, after 50 metres, he'll get his chest up, he'll get his head up, and he'll just motor through the line. So Sharpe's got my money.
I'm going to throw something at you now that I don't think you would have thought that this would ever have come up. Last night,
anything's possible here.
When I was on radio with now that I mentioned who I was on radio with on a Monday night,
the fat man,
yes, Paul Vorton. We said, forget about the fastest player in the game sprint. We want a Channel 9 commentary team sprint, but your band. Okay. We said your band and JT's band.
JT's band?
Yeah, his band as well.
Really? Get him in there.
Okay, get him in.
He's not that fast, JT.
Sam Thaiday can be in there.
Actually, hey, that's someone who you want to ban. He's athletic.
Yeah, he is.
And
he's still playing too.
Yeah. Don't be sort of disillusioned or miraged by how Sam looks in a pair of DTs, budgie smugglers. But he can move, Sam. He's got my money actually. I'm gonna back Sam Thaiday. Who else we got there? Joey, no. Freddie, no. Cam Smith. Cam Smith needs it over about 20 kilometres. Salty, unfortunately, I can't pick you. Big Tomo. Brace. Yeah. Danica in it. Actually, Danica, she's a bit of a runner.
Yeah. Alana. Yeah. No, Alana.
Ooh,
actually, she
Alana's
should be banned like you.
Yeah.
No, you and Alana are out.
There you go.
It's not fair. Unless
100 metres might be a bit far for me. I'm more of a 30, 40 metre.
Can we do like stall gift off the handicap?
Yeah,
I might only have to run 20 or 30 metres.
Well, I've always wondered how that works.
I'd back myself
if you just duff the first couple of races. I suppose you've got to make the final, but if you duff the first couple of races, you just give yourself a bit of a buffer and a bit of a lead.
There'll be some of our older listeners now will remember they used to do handicap races. They still do in the UK, but handicap races in the greyhounds. In the UK, it's still a thing.
Is Gus and Fatty in this race?
Yes.
They are?
Yes. We've just put them in.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's something for our publicity department and for our bosses.
Darren Lockyer.
Oh, with the bow legs. Still got them going.
You can't just scratch everyone.
No.
You could have a couple of fast people in there.
Yeah. No, Lockie. Actually, Lockie scares me if he's in there because he still runs every day around Addington.
Yes.
So, anyway, something to think about. I don't think there'll be too many takers for our commentary team. Anyway, send through your questions to Billy Slater Podcast at 9.com.au. We had a terrific round in NRLW over the weekend. The Broncos on the board. They defeated the Titans 44-4. The Dragons, what about that? Well done to Jamie Soward and the Dragons, defeating the Knights 18-10 in a really tough contest at McDonald Jones Stadium on Sunday night. Eels beat the Cowboys. Sharks, they looked down and out against the Raiders and scored 24 unanswered points. And the Roosters over the Tigers 20-4, but don't let that scoreline fool you. That was a tight one right up to the end, but yeah, some really good games over the weekend in NRLW.
Yeah, the Sharkies undefeated at the moment. They're sitting at the top of the ladder, and yeah, what a win it was by the Dragons. the Knights had been undefeated up until that point, and they've won the last 2 premierships, the Newcastle Knights. So Jamie Soward and the girls from the Dragons, that'll give them a bit of confidence going into the back end of this season too.
All right, now this weekend in the NRL, we have got an absolute blockbuster for you, live and free on 9 and 9 now on Thursday night. Panther v Storm. Billy, this is going to be a game that not only we're all looking forward to, but you get the feeling both coaches are looking forward to. A perfect one to have about 3 or 4 weeks out from the finals.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many elements to this game that are exciting for us to watch the game and for the teams to be involved in the game. We're 4 weeks out from the finals. Both of these teams, both of these coaches understand the momentum and the importance of momentum going into the final series, and to put in a good performance against the other best team in the competition, that's going to give so much confidence, and you can really springboard your back end of the year into the finals off this. The other thing that is on the line is the minor premiership. The minor premiership could come down to this game, and I know we're still 4 weeks away from the end of the season, but the Melbourne Storm are 2 points ahead of the Panthers. If the Melbourne Storm win, that will automatically give them 4 points ahead of the Panthers, nearly guaranteeing them the minor premiership at the end of the year. If the Panthers, on the other hand, win, they will leapfrog them, because the for and against is that close. I think there's 5 points in it. So if the Panthers win by 3 points or more, they will leapfrog and go straight to the top of the ladder. And we know what the Panthers are like. That they're not going to drop too many games towards the end of the year, and that might seal their minor premiership. So although it's not the priority and not super important, it's a subconscious importance.
Yeah.
To finish first is a subconscious importance. And the other thing you get if you finish first, and this is only a small thing, the other thing you get if you finish first and you play second place in the grand final, which is a high possibility that's going to happen, you get to wear your home jersey. That's the other thing you get if you finish first. I know it's only a little thing, but those little things might just add up and make you a little bit more comfortable in what you want to wear, and you get to wear your home jersey if you finish first.
That's an interesting point. And yeah, we've seen that, haven't we? Quite often over the years. You get that feel good factor. In wearing it's that recognition, isn't it, of the season that you've had? You think, okay.
Well, it's just that little bit closer to feeling like a home game, I suppose.
Yep.
And like I said, it's not the be all and end all. And if you finish second, you probably wouldn't even think about it, and it's just irrelevant. But it's just those little things, those little advantages that you do get if you finish on that top spot.
All right, some other great games to come over the weekend as well. On Friday night football, it's Roosters v Eels, and we know the Eels won't be a pushover. Saturday night footy on 9, it's Tigers v Rabbitohs, and then Sharks v Knights on Sunday. Sunday footy, Sharks v Knights. Billy, this is a big one. Newcastle, they keep winning. They're in contention, and we get another look at how Cronulla are going.
Yeah, that's a big game. That's a big game for the Knights. The Sharks also, to back up their performance against the Titans, 44-0, they'll want to back that performance up with another good performance. But the Knights have to win. And the Knights have got a favourable draw. So they go Sharks this week. Then they go Rabbits, Titans, Dolphins to finish. The Sharks have got the best... the Knights have got the best draw leading into the finals, and they can still play finals if they win all 4 of those games. It all starts with the Sharks because they're flying at the moment. I just think the Roosters are going to make a statement this week as well. Trent Robinson has always been a coach to time his run, and he knows the importance of that, and I just spoke about that with the two coaches in Craig Bellamy and Ivan Cleary, but they've been patchy impressive.
Yep.
Like, they haven't been consistently impressive. They had the bye last week. They got 4 weeks to go to the finals. I think Trent Robinson would have earmarked this little period, rest up, and then we start our run now. So I wouldn't be surprised if they come out and make a real statement against Parramatta and then launch into the final series off the back of that. They're in a good position on the ladder. They just need to find their best footy now, and I think it'll start this Friday night.
All right, big games to come this week, round 24 of the NRL. Look forward to it, Billy. We'll see you at the footy across the weekend, and the podcast will be back next week.
Will do. Thanks, Salty.
Thanks, Billy. That's Billy Slater. This has been the Billy Slater Podcast. And, of course, it is all thanks to Ram Trucks. Eats everything else for breakfast. And there's a new episode out weekly.